From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. The decision to keep fans out of high school and middle school sporting events in Yellowstone County not sitting well with some parents. An online petition to allow fans in has already gained nearly 9,000 signatures since being created earlier this morning. We're going to talk to the woman behind it coming up. But first, Billings School District 2 Superintendent Greg Upham explained more about the process behind that decision today. In a media conference, Upham said he initially advocated for limited fan attendance during meetings with the county health department. Upham said he wanted something similar to the high school graduation earlier this year, with limited tickets being allowed to immediate family members. The county health officer compared the low case numbers of May with the numbers in August now, where the county is seeing as many as 50 new cases per day.
He responded, and I respect this. He sent Mark and I the data of when that decision was made in May, the graduation, which were very little to no cases, to where we are at this point in time, where there are a lot of cases in comparison to none. And so that visual image, and he sent it, he sent it a scale to us, and that visual image was, oh, okay, I get it. And so I dropped that concern at that point in time.
Well, this means Billings parents will likely have to travel to a less restrictive county to see their kids play. A look around the state finds few options at this point in time. In Flathead County, no visiting fans will be allowed to attend school sporting events. Parents are still waiting on decisions from the Gallatin, Lewis and Clark, Cascade County health officials on whether visiting fans can attend school events. Closer to home, in Miles City, only immediate family members will be allowed to attend school sports, including parents, step-parents, and siblings. However, grandparents will not be allowed to attend in order to better protect the senior population. Now, similar to Flathead County, no visiting fans will be allowed to watch, and school staff has placed social distancing and sanitation procedures in place for fans and players. The county health officer said yesterday that sports fan restrictions could be relaxed once it's determined how the reopening of schools will affect COVID-19 case counts. Well, a petition started by a Laurel woman to allow spectators at high school sports and performances quickly collected thousands of online signatures today. As of about 10 minutes ago, 8,800 people had already signed the petition on change.org, although it's unclear how many are actually from Montana. Katrina Welch, who started that petition, says many large events have been held in the area, including the fair, hill climbs, and Legion baseball, and believes putting a limited number of guests per player or student would be a valid option.
We want to take caution and be aware of, the situation and wear masks and social distance, but we don't want to hurt our kids in the process, and they're already dealing with enough going into this school year with everything completely different that I feel like it's just another blow to our kids, really. I'm shocked. I didn't expect it to go much farther than my friends, and I had hopes it would, but I'd never expected it to take off this quickly.
Welch is sending the petition to Governor Bullock as well as health officers from several Montana counties, including Yellowstone. Well, after more than 5 months, kids will be back in School District 2 buildings starting Monday. The question on many people's minds remains, is that the right call? Q2's Casey Conlon sat down with Billings Clinic's leading infectious disease specialist, Dr. Neil Koo, to find out more.
It's been 160 days since the COVID-19 pandemic hit Montana. Schools were one of the first entities to act after March's initial wave of positives, shutting down the following week and moving to remote learning the rest of the year. Next week, SD2 will welcome back more than 14,000 students in a world filled with new protocols.
I think the biggest challenge is trying to address all the individual risk factors that we kind of associate with the transmission of SARS-CoV-2.
Here are the big 3 steps right now. 1, everyone inside the building, kids and adults, will be required to wear masks. 2, classrooms and common areas will be sanitized in between periods. And 3, new block scheduling will be put in place to try and reduce interaction with an infected student who often is harder to identify than staff.
Because of the symptoms are typically tend to be milder in children, they're not recognized as readily as a concern to parents.
Thus, many kids are only tested when symptoms become more severe, which has led to a much higher percentage of Montana's cases than the national average.
In the U.S., is about 2% of the total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19. In Montana, there's about 12.7% of the total cases that's been reported here.
Dr. Koo says the numbers are skewed because more asymptomatic adults get tested and come back negative. However, he admits kids tend to present more transmission problems, especially when grouped together.
By far the biggest challenge that everyone is experiencing is trying to go against all our instinct and drive to be very social, so socially interact with people whom we are really close to, and that's certainly here in the hospital in the healthcare setting. We understand the implications of what happens when someone develops COVID-19. Without seeing that, it doesn't hit home to them to understand why these measures should be followed closely.
While most haven't seen a positive case in person yet, they likely will. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said Monday it would be naive to think numbers won't rise after schools reopen. But Dr. Koo says the number one key to mitigating an outbreak is masks.
The reason it is such a big deal is not so much to protect us. It's really primarily focused on those who are infected and they don't know it, to infect others. If everyone was wearing a mask and there just happened to be a student or a staff member who are sick, even that will decrease substantially the risk of transmitting SARS-CoV-2.
In the end, the question of whether or not schools should reopen comes down to this.
Certainly, there is no, quote, safe as in the context, but we could make things more safer.
And coming up tomorrow, Casey will dive into the biggest problem areas of the school day, like hallway interactions and extracurricular activities. And Dr. Koo will tell us whether he personally thinks in-person instruction is a good idea. The plans are still being refined to offer both in-person and online learning for students as teachers and parents scramble to understand the new COVID-19 protocols for schools. Superintendent Upham says morale has suffered.
I think the morale is challenged right now. I think there's a lot of fear, anxiety, unknown. It's tough. I really compliment our people. I know they're trying to do their best, but I've seen breakdowns. I've seen people cry. They don't know their teaching assignments yet. That falls on my shoulders, trying to get things going, and I feel bad about that.
Upham's main message: we're all in this together and we'll take it one day at a time. Health officials are reporting 111 new cases of the coronavirus in Montana today, the largest jump in numbers once again in Yellowstone County. We saw 56 new cases here. Yellowstone County continues to have roughly 650 active cases. Bighorn County is reporting its 14th new COVID-19 related death now, and the number of confirmed cases across the state is creeping toward the 6,000 mark. Well, less than 8 months after taking the job and entering in the midst of the highly publicized search for a young missing Hardin girl, Bighorn County Undersheriff Eric Winburn has resigned. The Bighorn County Commissioner's Office confirmed with Q2 that Winburn submitted his resignation letter to the sheriff dated August 18th. In that letter, Winburn stated he enjoyed the opportunity to work for the citizens of Bighorn County. There's no word yet as to why Winburn resigned. Winburn took that helm shortly after 16-year-old Selena Not Afraid went missing on January 1st, 2020. Her body was found 21 days later, just over a mile from where she was last seen. The state medical examiner's office officially ruled that death accidental and the cause of death is hypothermia. Up next on the MTN 530 News here on Q2, a Billings middle schooler given $100 in 90 days to make a difference. And boy, did she ever when it comes to helping disabled veterans. That story ahead. And in sports, Skyview has a change of pace literally with the new head volleyball coach. Scott will show us what the Falcons can expect this season.
A few clouds, a little bit of smoke, and even some spotty rain in the area has cooled things off a little bit in the Billings area. But how long will it last? We'll tell you what the computers say coming up in a few more minutes.